Hello and welcome to MtM Vegas, your source for the latest Vegas news, tips, and happenings. On this week's show, Penn National Gaming and Choice Hotels have teamed up, announced a strategic partnership. What exactly does that mean and how will it affect Vegas? Plus, the WNBA Las Vegas Aces have sold to a new owner. It's a familiar face, but what will he do with the team? Plus, the Las Vegas Table Games Survey is here, the ultimate guide to table games across the valley, from where to find the best odds to the lowest limits. This is a great resource, and we'll talk all about it coming up right now. I'm Sean Coomer, the founder of Miles to Memories, joined by Mark Osterman, my managing editor. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with friends. Let's hit it. So, Mark, I know you're about to get on an airplane, but you're not coming to Las Vegas. How's everything going?
Yeah, I'm heading down to Florida to see my parents. It's my dad's 60th birthday this week. Actually, we're recording on the 19th. His birthday's tomorrow on the 20th. So I haven't seen him since February. And when it's the big 6-0, I kind of just have to make it happen. So heading down there. Looking forward to getting some sunshine, some of the Vegas rays down in Florida. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, we had some beautiful weather here in Vegas the last few days, and now it's going to get cold again, but it was really nice. We had highs in the high 60s, low 70s some days the last few days, so that's been fantastic. So, yeah, good for you to escape that Michigan cold and get down to Florida. But let's get into the show because there's a lot of news that happened this week in Las Vegas, a lot of things to cover, and I decided why not start here with Mark Davis buying the WNBA Las Vegas Aces from MGM
What?
Resorts, who owned it. Did you know that Las Vegas had a WNBA team?
I did not. And then after reading the article, I guess it's one of the better WNBA teams. So who knew?
Yeah, a few years ago, the San Antonio franchise was struggling, I believe. I think it was the San Antonio franchise, and MGM Resorts bought them and moved them to Las Vegas, and they've been playing in Mandalay Bay at the event center there. And MGM now has sold them to Mark Davis. I couldn't find how much he's bought them for, what he paid for the team. But there's no word whether they're going to continue to play at Mandalay Bay, what's going to happen here. But yeah, the WNBA is now owned by Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders. I hope the Golden Knights now own the Silver Knights, which is our minor league hockey team. So now that we have a minor league NBA team, maybe they'll go play at the same Henderson Event Center just down the street from me. That's my dream, to have WNBA a couple blocks away. So what? So
Yeah,
you think this is a good move?
no. I think it's really bizarre. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's not like most sports franchises where a WNBA is like printing money, like an NBA team, NFL team, that type of thing. It's just a license to print money for the most part. And he owns a football team. I mean, it'd be one thing if he owned an NBA team and he could bring them into the arena he already owns, and just trying to add a little bit more to fill seats, on off nights for the NBA team. But it's not even that. They play at Mandalay Bay, so he doesn't even own the rights to that. It's not like he owns Mandalay Bay, so it makes sense. So I don't get where it's coming from. I don't know if this is a precursor of him trying to be a multi-sports owner, and he's looking to, the rumor NBA team coming to Vegas. Does he want to get in on that? And this is a way that he can cut his teeth? I don't know. I don't get it.
One interesting thing I noticed in the article is it said maybe this is why that he becomes one of the richer and more powerful owners in the WNBA. One more thing before we move on, I did want to mention Mandalay Bay no longer owned by MGM Resorts. They sold it off to a partnership between Blackstone and MGM Growth Partners, which is another company they own. They sold the land off, and the company owns it, manages it. So this does seem to kind of play into their overall shift in strategy as a company. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. They owned it for 3 years. I know they had some success there, but it's always been a struggle to get a crowd. But it's always good to see Major League Sports in Vegas. And I think at least Mark Davis, somebody who's committed to the Las Vegas Valley, it's good to have that. I mean, hopefully that means the team will stay here and he'll invest resources into it. So we will see how the NBA, the WNBA goes here in Vegas, continuing on. Next story is Siegfried has died. The famous Siegfried and Roy duo on the Strip. Of course, last week we talked about Sheldon Adelson, and I didn't want to talk about another death so soon, but unfortunately we have to, because Siegfried and Roy were such iconic performers on the Las Vegas Strip for so long. They started, I believe, at the Frontier Hotel, were all over Las Vegas, but of course came to the Mirage and became the headliners there. And they were the defining entertainment act, I think, in Las Vegas through the 90s and into the early 2000s. Of course, in 2003, Roy Horn, Siegfried's partner, who passed away last year, but in 2003, they had that famous accident where the white tiger attacked him, and that pretty much was the end of their show there. But their impact on Las Vegas is huge. They really kind of bridged a couple of eras. They were at the Mirage when Mirage was the hot place to be, and
they were the first like large production show spending tens of millions of dollars a year that ever came to Vegas. You know, there wasn't anything really like that. It was more singers and stuff like that and lower budget type of shows. So they kind of brought in they opened the door for Larev and Cirque and all that stuff to come in after them, showing that you can spend the money and still be productive, selling out shows for years on end type of thing. So they were huge for Vegas for sure. I never got to see a show. Did you ever make it?
I didn't, and it's like one of those things you don't know what you got till it's gone, because of course they ended their run very abruptly after the accident, and it was something I would have loved to see, but I never got a chance to see them. But all accounts, everybody I've ever talked to said that they were fantastic. Certainly people that deserve to be remembered, and we will do just that.
Are the gardens still around at the Mirage? I've been to that before, and that was pretty cool. It was worth checking out if you're ever in the area, but I'm not sure if it's still a thing or not.
They are, yeah. They're still there, and I believe they're open now, socially distanced and everything, along with the dolphin habitats still there. But yeah, some of their animals are still there on display at the Mirage, and you can see them at the Secret Garden, Siegfried and Roy's Secret Garden back there. All right, so let's move on to the next thing. Now, I took you last year, I think it was, or maybe it was in 2019, I took you to the Pinball Hall of Fame on Tropicana. After we ate some Metro Pizza, we went to the Pinball Hall of Fame, and
both are good places to check out. Metro Pizza's solid, especially for like a local chain restaurant, and then Pinball Hall of Fame was really cool.
Yeah, and the one thing about it though is it's in this really old building off the strip, and it's very hot in there, and it's sort of
the lights aren't on most of the time.
Yeah, exactly. The building isn't in the best shape, but the Pinball Hall of Fame has been building a new headquarters on the strip, kind of on the South Strip, let's say not too far from Mandalay Bay. And apparently they've run out of money or whatever. What's interesting here, and I know they've gotten a lot of criticism over the year, Mark, is because run as a nonprofit, I believe they use mostly volunteers, but they're looking to raise even more money. And if not, they may not finish their brand new headquarters on the Strip. And it really does look like this giant space where they'll be able to put all of their collection out. Right now, they're not able to put all their machines out.
They'll be able to have triple, quadruple the amount of pinball machines, which would be huge because there's nothing worse than not being able to show all the stuff you own. And I know they've sold some of their machines to bridge the gap with not having enough revenue coming in right now. But I just wanted to talk about when I was there. Like, if you're into pinball or into arcades, it's a really cool thing to check out. They have all these old school machines you never see anywhere else. There's a place here in the Detroit area called Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum. Kind of the same type of thing. He has stuff from like the 1800s, early 1900s, just random one-off type of games that you don't see anywhere else. So I got the same vibe when I was there, which was really cool. And they have this amazing popcorn dispenser that it was a quarter, and you get a bag, and you kind of like a gumball machine, but it blows out popcorn. It's some of the best popcorn you'll ever have, which was the only place I've ever seen something like that, and it was really unique.
Yeah, I remember. Didn't you get a Disney figurine, like a wax figure, those old machines that would make you a wax figure? That was really cool to see there from the 80s. So they have some really neat things. They've raised over $50,000 on a GoFundMe that they've started. So hopefully they're able to make it all work. I guess the fact that they're set up as a nonprofit makes it a little bit different than them compared to a traditional business. But it is a big space. I have seen pictures of the building that they're building on South Las Vegas Boulevard, and it's going to be a big improvement. So hopefully they'll get that done, and then a lot of tourists will be able to visit, because a lot of people probably don't want to head off the Strip, but considering where this is, I think a lot of people will do that. And this is going to be a return, because the Riviera back in the day used to house a lot of their machines back in a section that they had there. So you used to be able to play a lot of these machines, and now that's been gone for several years. So this is very good news indeed, and hopefully they'll be able to raise the rest of the funds to get it finished. No doubt a rough year for all around. Now, the next story kind of plays right into our wheelhouse, talking miles and points and travel. Now, we do have a podcast, mtmpodcast.com is where you can go for that. It's a travel miles and points travel podcast, and that's what the website is a lot about. And this week, Choice Hotels and Penn National Gaming teamed up, and we see some of these other partnerships like MGM and M Life, like Hyatt and M Life. And now we have Choice and Penn National. They're going to be teaming up, so you're going to be able to earn points between the different properties and also have some reciprocal benefits as well, right?
Yeah, you should be able to book any of the casinos with your choice points, which hasn't been available before. It'll be in like their higher end properties. We don't know what the prices are going to be, but I'm kind of looking forward to it because I recently grabbed their card for a 50,000 point welcome offer. So I'm sitting on those points. Greektown in Detroit is one of the options, so I'm curious to see what kind of cost that comes out to, as well as MtM Vegas is on there. I think those were two of the ones that kind of stuck out to me. There's a lot of local type of like Lido and Ohio type of casinos on there as well. So depending on where you live in the country or where you're going, that might be an option. And then the other big thing is if you do have status with either the casino or with Choice, you can transfer back and forth and kind of get some perks out of that. And top tier status has some interesting things that you can work out where you get like half off a stay in St. Kitts and stuff like that. So something to check out if you have status or points in either program. You definitely want to keep your eye on it.
Yeah, the Vegas angle, as you said, is the M Resort. Penn National sort of owns the Tropicana, but that's a DoubleTree affiliate, so I'm guessing that's why it's not included. Plus, they sold off the land and they're doing a management thing, so the M is the only one in Vegas, and that's a pretty nice hotel, nicer than your typical Choice hotels. So it'll be interesting to see what, like you say, what the cost is, what it's going to cost in points to stay there. Although the reciprocal benefits thing could be really good at a place like M, so I'm going to have to really look into that, see if I can leverage that. I used to have Choice status, but I don't anymore, so maybe I can figure out a match from somewhere else. I'll have to.
I believe there is like a match going on right now that you can pretty easily get top tier status, so.
Yeah, I remember
check out.
doing that a couple years ago. I still have my Best Western Diamond Select status for life, Mark. So
yes,
always looking to add more statuses.
Last time I stayed at a Best Western, they had the where you rent the movies or whatever, and you actually swiped your credit card like on the phone in the room.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, why not? Get it all there. That way you don't have to put a credit card on.
I feel
file.
like it was like one of those put the quarter in the bed, make it vibrate type of places. Like
yeah. I've never stayed in a place like that. I've stayed in places like even back in the day when they had those kinds of things. I stayed in growing up in cheap motels and stuff like that with my parents, but never saw one of those like you saw in the sitcoms where you put the quarter in and the bed vibrated. I would have loved to come across one of those. I don't know why. Just like the novelty of it.
Get the bed bugs jumping up around.
Did any Vegas hotels have that? If you're watching this and know, let us know, because I don't think I ever saw them. In Vegas, we saw the bathtubs in the rooms, we saw the mirrors above the beds, but I don't think I ever saw a vibrating coin-operated bed. But that would have been neat. And speaking of like old-timey motels and stuff like that, an abandoned property on the Strip, a motel, is now for sale. And this is sort of a notable property because it's been for sale before, but it's 1 acre or 1.1 acres, I think, and it is going for $18 million. It's being listed for $18 million. It used to be the White Sands Motel, and I guess the most notable part about this property is that it's surrounded on 3 sides by the Route 91 Harvest site where the big shooting was a few years ago. So that property, that festival grounds, was built essentially around this thing on 3 sides, and they're trying to sell it $18 million for 1.1 acres. There is a lot of development happening. We talked about the Pinball Hall of Fame. There is a non-gaming hotel that's supposed to start construction later this year in that general area. So we could see other things happening there, but I mean that's a lot of money for this, and I don't know that land is really the best, given the history of what happened surrounding it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're just shooting for the stars and see what happens, type of thing. Like list it at a price and see if anybody comes calling, and just kind of hope the area builds up and it works into that price. I don't know who would pay for it. I'm surprised the fairgrounds didn't try to buy it and just kind of work it into their thing back in the day. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think anybody's going to be knocking down their door for it.
I think MGM did try to buy it back in the day, but the price has always been high. The original owner died many years ago, and the motel's still in his estate. And I think the family's just trying to hold out for something big, and probably what happened a couple years ago was really bad for them timing wise because of just its location and the fact that this is now a very sacred place in Las Vegas, and whatever goes there will have to deal with that history and the weight of all of it. And I do mean this is surrounded on three sides by that. They literally built the entire festival grounds around it, so it does have some potential issues there. But I will put a link in the description because there's some really cool pictures of it and the history of it, and it has an interesting history since 1959. It's been sitting there on the Strip, so not something that should be forgotten here in Las Vegas. And now let's move on to our final story, Mark, and that's the Las Vegas Table Games Survey from Vegas Advantage. And you came across this, so I'll let you describe it, but it's a really cool resource for anybody who likes to play table games in Las Vegas.
Yeah, so I think it's a great resource for anybody that's, looking to minimize the house edge wherever they can, or to find, table minimums that are on the lower end. They basically go through every game out there, like baccarat and roulette, single, zero, double zero, triple zero, and they list all the minimums throughout of Vegas. Like you can go to roulette and you can play for a quarter at this one, you can play for $5 at this one, type of thing. So it's a good place to check out where you can get the best odds. They also, for craps, they'll show you like if you can back up your bet 3 times, 5 times, 10 times, what those limits are. So you can kind of find what works in your budget, I guess you could say. And the most interesting thing I saw was the cheapest bet in Vegas, table games, was at one of Sean's favorite places, Jerry's Nugget, 00 roulette, 25-cent minimum bet.
I told you yesterday, Jerry's Nugget, not the nicest casino in the world and not in the best area, but they have long been known for their prime rib and have great prime rib. Really good cakes there as well.
I did see some pictures, like the prime rib was like thick too.
Yeah, they've been well known for that for a long time and continue that tradition. So yeah, hit up some prime rib and get some cheap gambling. And I think this is a great resource. I don't play table games, but just for people who want to kind of plan their trip ahead of time, and also if you want to kind of understand how these casinos differentiate themselves between each others with all the, like you mentioned, all the the odds on craps and all the different types of rules and things like that. All these marketing things that they're doing, so you'll be able to see how they differentiate themselves. Now, I went through all of this, and the one that I came up with, the best game, the one I'm most excited about, is Casino War. That it continues to stick around.
There's
only
actually
a
played
few
that.
places left.
It's not as fun as you think it would be, but
I just remember Vegas Vacation. I don't know, Vegas Vacation. There's a scene where he's playing Casino War in downtown, and I just thought the premise of Casino War was the funniest thing ever. Having played it as a kid. But apparently, there's 5 places in Las Vegas, Mark, that you can play Casino War. And I actually saw a table just the other day at Wynn when I was staying there. I saw the table there. Of course, it wasn't open. And that's the other thing with this, is not all of these tables are going to be open all the time, especially if you're looking at these more obscure games, like a live wheel, for instance. That's one of the things they have on there. The old school wheel that you can spin and bet. There's a few of those in town, but are they going to always be staffed and open? But yeah, if you want to play Casino War, Paris, Planet Hollywood, and Wynn, $10 bets, or at Aria and Cosmo, $15 bets. And I don't know, that's an interesting group of casinos. Paris, Planet Hollywood, Wynn, Aria, and Cosmo. So
you would think Casino War would be in like the downtown casinos, not in the higher end strip casinos, but maybe that's where the suckers go. I don't know.
Yeah, the odds on that game have to be pretty rough, I imagine. But it's
I
just
was surprised
fun.
to see how many 000 roulette wheels there were, and how it's kind of grown through Vegas, and they explain that in there, and the house edge, as they add more zeros, the house edge increases. So you want to try to find the single zero games. You have the best advantage there. I think Plaza is $10. That's the cheapest one you can find in Vegas, which is really a great deal. You don't really hear of that anywhere. But the fact that there's a lot of tables that are 000s, and people probably don't know any better. They're just like, oh, I'm going to go put $10 on 23 red, and oh, let's see what happens. And that's what Vegas is counting on. You're not paying attention. So look out for that. Be aware that you don't want to play that ever.
And go play your 25-cent roulette at Jerry's Nugget.
There you go.
Yeah, this is a great resource. They have lots of great information, all different games, and I think if you're planning a trip and table games are important, this is something to check out, and it's a great discovery, Mark. and Vegas Advantage. Thanks for creating this. We'll put a link in the show notes for that, and you can poke around, check it out, check out all the obscure games. That was the funnest part for me, was not only finding War, but looking at the obscure games and which casinos had it and kind of trying to find the themes to it and all of that. But unfortunately, like I said, some of these more rare games probably aren't open now, or at least not when it's slow, maybe on the weekends and stuff like that. But yeah, that's going to do it for this week on MtM Vegas. Check us out at mtmvegas.com. Check out the YouTube channel and milestomemories.com for travel, miles, and points stuff. Thanks so much, Mark. See you next week.
See everybody next week. Hopefully I have a little bit of a tan.
Bye.
Bye.